A year ago today, the world witnessed the opening of the most expensive Olympics in history. At a price tag of $51 billion, the Winter Games in Sochi were meant to launch the region as a global tourist destination and reestablish Russia's standing on the international stage. But as Stuart Greer explains, 1 year later, Vladimir Putin's Olympic dreams have turned into a financial nightmare.
The most expensive Olympics ever were supposed to showcase Russia as a winter playground destination. Vladimir Putin staking his reputation on a successful games and legacy. But a year later, it seems Sochi is still a long way from fulfilling its promise as a world-class resort. Few Russians can afford a ski holiday, with their country's economy in shambles due to plunging oil prices and Western sanctions over Ukraine. There are some tourists, but many attractions are already falling apart. It meets the standards of a European ski resort, excluding some slight defects, says this Russian visitor. But if a European comes here, he might not even notice. The problem is, barely any Europeans are traveling to Sochi at all. Not surprising, Moscow's annexation of nearby Crimea and its backing of separatist rebels in Ukraine hasn't translated into a great marketing campaign for Russian tourism. All this means there are lots of empty hotels, and wealthy investors who took on huge loans to cover the game's record $51 billion price tag are now starting to dump those toxic assets. Russian taxpayers are being left with the bill, giving fuel to Putin's critics. Those oligarchs would rather lose everything they've invested to avoid paying back their loans and interest, says former Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Kazyanov, who's now an opposition leader. Residents of Sochi, meanwhile, have seen few economic benefits from hosting the Olympics. Trains that used to run every 15 minutes from the coast to the mountains now only run 6 times a day, and the rail service between the airport and central Sochi is canceled. This was supposed to be a busy commercial harbor, but the government badly estimated how much cargo would come through Sochi, so it's being turned into a marina for $500,000. This is only the beginning of restructuring the place for a different function, says the port director. And more rough financial waters lie ahead as Russia prepares to host the World Cup of Soccer in 2018. It will have to sink even more cash into another huge international sporting event as it copes with its Olympic debt and plummeting currency. Stuart Greer, Global News, London.